I can share my screen. So yeah, this is the this is the basic chat client which I created, and this is how I'm also training internally as well. So because if you go to the docs and if you start reading the first page of Semantic Kernel, it directly starts from the very like turn on, turn off plugin, and then yeah, it's a 73 lines of code, but let's see. Even we when we get into the plugin, so this is the boilerplate code I wrote, and this is where I always explain that this is the chat bot. So um, you can surface this exact chatbot with bot framework as well if you want to, rather than just creating your own hooks and all that stuff. So if I run it and if I come over here and say, hello, how are you doing? And it would just give you the response. But the way I I start with these kind of demos is and showing the the limitation of the LLM, right?
Yep.
Um, and that's where we talk about, or I usually talk about when I talk about semantic kernel, that this is how you are going to get. So LLMs are very bad at calculating, or sorry, giving you the times or the real-time information, connecting with external sources, solving your maths problem. So why not create a plugin out of it? And in order to create plugins, it's very easy. You just have to go create a plugins folder. You cannot, like, if you don't want to create a plugins folder, that's all your choice. It's just for the organization purpose. So I'll just name it as weather plugin. And in addition to bring in the weather part, I will also um, inject the out of the box plugins which have been released by the semantic kernel team in one of the packages, which is plugins.core. So if you give me like just 2 minutes to, because I don't want to like type, I have got everything written, so I can just copy it. Simple. So, oh, yep, this is the one. So let me, rather than, okay. So over here, we will just bring in this line of code, right? So this is one line of code now. And then when we ask about time, it would give you the time, right? Because now it can connect with the system resources. Um, of course, this is very simple, but it shows the capability of like how you can inject anything. So now bringing some more colors to it. So I will say, let's talk about weather plugin. So I will write weather plugin.cs, and this is where the magic will happen. So, or rather than I bring in like this, I can just add it. Maybe I can add it. Maybe I cannot. Yes. So this is the file. I will just paste it over here. Um, right. And I will just change my custom copilot.plugins. So this is the function which I've already created. What it does, it just goes to weatherapi.com. Weather API is free. Um, and then what we can do over here is come here and then add another line of code, just one line of code, right? So right now, if you don't inject anything and if you run the bot, and if you ask what is the time right now, it would give you the time right now. But what is the weather in Sydney? Or yeah, what's the weather in Sydney? Let's say, and it say it would say I'm not aware of it. Can you track a flight from Sydney to Melbourne? Things like that. It won't, right? It would say that I don't have the capability. Again, and it would say I don't have these kind of details. Now you can do that by writing your own plugins. One of the plugin is weather plugin, and in order to showcase this capability, you just have to add your own method, just a normal C# method, how you would write, but with this description. And I'll talk about this good part of it, why I loved it most. So, but after this weather one, so if I now add weather plugin, and if I say what's the weather in, and it would just call the weather service, and it would just give you this, right? And you can combine this as well, that um, something like that. Very bad prompt, but because it has not given me any time. But I could ask and combine these things, because the reason why it can combine these things is because we are using auto function calling, which is another pain when using any SDK. Pain is in case of like, if you don't want, if you want to handle it yourself, yes, you can use .NET SDK for Azure OpenAI, and you can handle all of that yourself. But what if I want to make it as a proper intelligent chatbot? This stepwise functional, stepwise planner, or you can say the next generation planner, which is this, um, the auto invoke kernel functions behavior, is really cool for me. Now, again, I don't want to waste like one by one, so I will just add a flight plugin, and I this is where it just surprised me a lot. The reason why it surprised me is, um, when I went over there to flight. So I'm using Aviation Stack, right? Aviation Stack is, it gives you free API to get the flight details. If I run this EK414, I use this flight to come from Dubai. So and if I run this, if my API threshold is not this has not reached, it gives me a response. And then once it gives me a response, you will see that I can, I have to provide every time a flight number in order to see the flight, or I may have to provide the IATA code. Now, it is not necessary that every time whoever is your users may not have the time to, sorry, you may not know the IATA code for every location, right? So it has come up with the response. It has come up with the response as well. If I write Dubai over here, and if I write Sydney over here, so you can see that it won't return anything. The reason why it is not returning anything, because the API expects the IATA code, right? Now, the problem was that it means that I have to write two methods. First is to get the IATA code, and the other one is to, and then pass it to the other method to get the details. It surprised me, and I will show you why. So flight tracker plugin.cs, right? And I'll just bring in my existing code rather than. So now I'll just copy this. And if you see this, I literally wrote this as well earlier. So this is the class I wrote. This is the method I in fact wrote to get the code without any explanation. One word. IATA code of Sydney is SYD. Just respond to this blah blah blah. And I commented that code. The reason why I commented that code is because if I'm providing the correct description, semantic description to this, it does it automatically. I was I was very surprised, like I was very excited and surprised at the same time. So if I come here and if I just write another line of code, and if I run this, say, and if I put the breakpoint because I really want to show you something. So now it has landed over here. Obviously, it has it has it has generated the flight number itself. It shouldn't, but you see this Melbourne and source as Sid. Now, if I run this, it may say that I'm sorry because I it shouldn't have it shouldn't have guessed the flight number. So um, however, it it never I can control this myself. Track a flight from, and usually it knows because it has got the previous data like the chat, the large language model data. But now what it would do if I write this prompt, it would automatically set the limit to 2 rather than setting the limit 1, because API expects the limit as well, and it can get you the details of all the flights. So you can see now it is giving you the flight details. It is also giving you the time and everything, and it is the correct details. It is not like made up details. You must have seen that it had made up the flight number. So I just have to be very because I've not provided any proper system message. If I provide a proper system message, it would not give me a random flight number. So since I did not do that purposefully, that's why you see this. But again, now if I let's say if I update my prompt, which is a longer prompt, and that is going to be my last example. So if I this is my whole um, prompt. The one more thing which I've learned from John Maida is the last line. So I'm saying that you are a virtual assistant responsible for flight tracking, weather updates, and finding out right places within Australia after inquiring about the proximity or city, blah blah. And then for each correct answer, you will get $10 from me as a reward. So I when I was taking I think one of the courses of John, he mentioned that if you try to reward these models, it gives you a better response. I've not tested this, as in I've not tried to play with around this, but this whole piece helped me a lot. So now if I say that I've got a long um, prompt. So my friend is coming from Thailand. Can you please track the flight from Bangkok to Sydney? Also considering the weather right now, can you suggest me some Thai food? This is where our airport is. Um, and now it would start calling the different plugins, and then right, and it did not suggest me any place because I have not added my place plugin, which is my Azure Maps plugin. But in my if you go to my blog, which is this, and if you read this, this is the first example that I've written this to ChatGPT that my friend is coming, and it gives you this response versus to what this demo gave you. This is also open source, so I've not hidden it anywhere. If you go to Git generative AI, I've not publicized this much that it is open source yet, but I will do that later. So The sample is right here. If you go custom Copilot, you will see all the functions over here. So this is the easiest possible way, I think, to showcase the capability um, of how the plugins would work in. I've seen that people have started. There is a community which Vinod is running. So Vinod is another AI MVP Azure AI community. So if I go over here, you can see that we have started publishing the plugins over here. So I've already published this plugin, like how do you use flight tracker, blah blah blah. But it is we are trying to publish as much as we can. So this is another thing which I think needs community's attention. So, and that's Azure AI community, blah, blah. And you can go to semantic kernel community.net. I'll post the link to the chat as well. So yeah, just wanted to, the reason of this, as you know, that people struggle to find a way how to create a plugin. That's how you create a plugin, basic plugin, of course. My aim is to inject now kernel memory with it. So not just stop over there, but to go and talk about the kernel memory, and then let's say have some memory built into this. Um, Create some more plugins that would handle those memories. I've already created this. I've already added this Azure Map Search, but I think conscious of time, so that's why I also can take some questions. Okay, I was not reading chat. How can we find out each plugin is used to give response that is asked for time and can I? Oh yes, good. So the answer to this is this line of code. It is automatically driving from the semantic description that which ones to call. But if you want to call it yourself, definitely you can. You just have to disable this enable kernel function. Like you just change this to enable kernel functions, and then you call it. You write your own line of code to get the response against you to get the functions, iterate those functions and call the function yourself. So you can do that as well. If you use the default logging, you will get the details about which plugins was called. Okay, good. I never knew this. I will, um, I will check this out. This is good example, Daniel. I'll test this as well.
And then besides just the default logging, we also have filters. They're currently experimental right now. We're working on making them non-experimental. But those also kind of give you hooks every time a function is called. So not only can you log that information, but you could also theoretically do things like approvals. So I could imagine you adding a plugin for like purchasing flight tickets.
Yes.
And that's something that you would want an event to say, oh, before this actually gets executed, let a person hit an approve button before it finishes.
Oh yeah. This is a good point. So again, as this is recording, we have got a couple of scenarios like this internally, where we have got like something in the cart and we don't want to check out unless that cart is approved. So we were trying to do it differently, but this is a good point. I will take this on board.
Cool. This was very exciting. And I like just how simple the plugins that you're able to show have so much power, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I might steal some of these when I do some of my own talks.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, no problem.
Because these are, yeah, they're great for
this is open. Yeah, I will stop sharing. But yeah, I wish we had more people, but I think they will get to know on YouTube when you publish it. So this is exactly the same demo which I showcased in NDC Sydney, and luckily Aaron was there as well. So Aaron, you had to watch it twice.
What? So yeah. So we'll definitely post this live so that other folks can see it. I'm also thinking I'd love to get your blog post some more visibility. So doing a guest blog or cross post on our Semantic Kernel blog, if you're open to it.
I'm open. Yeah, no problem. Happy.
That's great to hear. Definitely.
And I'm very interested in the community repo for plugins that you shared. That's like the new to me, and I'd love to help folks kind of contribute back to that so that we can have a healthier plugin ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I think you have a hard stop. Is that right?
I do, yes. I will have to run at 10:30 and switch to my work laptop.
Well, thank you. This was great.
No problem.
Yeah, really appreciate the demo. Thank you so much. We'll look at